Now this is where it's going to feel a little tricky. F of negative 1, that is going to be 3 to the negative 1 plus 2. Alright, let's think about that. 3 to the negative 1, that's going to be 1/3. Then as we add 2, that's going to give us a value of 2 1/3. Or if we wanted to be formal there, we could even say 7/3. Both options completely correct. Then for our next one, we'll get 3 to the negative 2 plus 2. As we look back, we'll say, okay, that is 1/9. 3 squared was 9, so 3 to the negative 2 is just 1/9 plus 2, which gives us 2 1/9. Okay. And then third, we'll get 3 to the negative 3, which is just 1/27 plus 2. And then finally, that's going to leave us with 2 1/27. So incredibly close to 2 at that point. Alright, so let's go ahead now. We'll make our table of values. So we'll put in our x and our f of x. Sorry, paper stuck there. Alright, and then for x, we had values that ranged from 3 all the way down to negative 3. So negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. And then for f of x, we had a handful of different values there. So we had 29, 11, 5, and then 3, 2 1/3, 2 1/9, and then 2 1/27. Okay, so we're getting incredibly close to 2. Notice here, we'll keep getting closer and closer to 2, because 2 1/3, that's less than 2 1/9. And then 2 1/9, well, that's bigger than 2 1/27. Hopefully I've been saying all that right. But we keep getting closer and closer to 2. As we get up to, say, values like 2 to the negative 6, or 3 to the negative 6, we're going to have a very small value that we're adding on to 2. It's going to get very, very tiny, very, very close to 2. So as we're making our graph, we're still going to notice, okay, we're not going to have any values less than 0. Tell you what, I'm going to put our axes still at the bottom here. Okay. But this time, I'm going to call this the x-axis. Alright. And this time, I'm going to put our asymptote in. But this time, notice our asymptote, we're not going to get any smaller than 2. As I go in, I'm going to go right up here, 2 points above my x-axis. Alright, so when you graph your asymptote, generally you want to make it dotted, and you want to make it visible. So, in this case, I have my handy-dandy marker that makes the points a little thick. Okay, so here we have our new asymptote. Okay, and for this particular one, it's at the value of y equals 2, rather than y equals 0. And then I'll put in my y-axis. Alright, so we'll have f of x labeled there again. And now we'll go back to our table of values. Notice that at the point of x equals 3, for f of x equals 29, unless we were to scale this back quite a bit, that's not even going to fit on the graph. And then, let's see, for 2 at a value of 11, if we want, we can put that in. So let's see, go over 2, it's a little bit up here off the graph. There we go. There's our point 211. Then for our next point, go over 5, or over 1, up 5. It's been a long day. Alright, next up, for our point 03, I'm going to move everything up just a bit. Okay, so along my y-axis, I'm going to put a point up here, 3. And after that, I'll have points at -1, and then 2.